It will, yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. And do you guys have any questions for me before we actually get started?
No, I think we had talked about we're going to record this from a video format. I understand yours is going to be audio only. We'll
Right.
wait. Was it 24 or 48 hours? What did I say?
Oh, I don't remember. So this, what will happen is I will have this one out this coming Monday. Will be when this airs on my show. Um, let's see.
So we'll try to have our editing done, and then we'll release it on the video on YouTube. And of course we'll reference all of your links because you have a link tree if I remember correctly.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll include the link tree to your podcast, all of your information uh,
Okay.
on YouTube. That way we've got everything going, and we'll wait until Wednesday if we have it edited in time to do that. But we're
Okay.
we're currently set up on the audio with
Yeah.
two additional cameras in the background. We're set up. We've got our microphones on, so we've got additional audio.
Okay.
We're good to go. But before we really get started, what I saw the sample questions. They were good.
Uh
Is
huh.
has anything else popped up that we might be able to think about and chew over while we're getting started? Any other questions that you may have?
So I just a few things I found like I noticed that there's the Easter egg with the spelling it ER instead of AR. I figured we could talk about that on here. Um, some of the I think most of it we've already talked about on here. Just whenever I sent you the questions and everything. I mean, I can go through some of what I've got written down here, but as I go, a lot of times what I do is I have the pen and paper with me, and I think of things as I'm talking to kind of keep the conversation seeming more like a conversation and less like an interview.
Yeah, yeah. And what the only thing that we don't want to talk about are details as far as script details, things like that,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
until it's released. Uh,
Right.
but as far as production, we can talk about production. Um, I saw you at Halloween Con. Was that what that was?
Hallows Con.
Hallows Con. That looked cool.
Yeah.
And Mr. Creek Wilson was there. I thought that was cool. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I got
Yeah.
to hang out with him quite a bit actually, so that was really cool.
Where was that? Where was that at?
It is in McAllister, Oklahoma. It's about 2 hours away from Oklahoma City.
Now, are you an Oklahoma native, or did you just travel for that?
I actually traveled for it. I live in Northwest Arkansas. I'm in Walmart land.
Gotcha.
So
So
yeah, I live.
you were in heavy duty Scottish Rite of Freemasonry territory. So McAllister and Guthrie are
Uh
two of
huh.
the larger Scottish Rite areas
Okay.
in the country. So that's interesting. I've spent
Okay.
time at McAllister and Guthrie. So, but no, I just thought that was cool. But it's anything that you want to talk about. I know you said you may have comic. You like to talk about comic books.
Yeah.
I'm not really well versed on comics since the '90s, but I am a huge Warhammer nerd.
Okay.
So
Um.
three D printing, Warhammer, miniature painting, tabletop war games. I'm down with all that if any of that comes up.
Okay. So I mean, I'm one of those. It pretty much can go anywhere. That's the reason why the name of my show is what it is. Anything can really happen when it comes to this show here. So, I mean, yeah, we could end up talking about that. I had Phil Parsons, who plays, he's a voice actor. And when I had him on, we ended up talking about video games most of the time that he was on the show. But, I know that we have a purpose here. So I'll try to stick to what we have on here. I think I've got enough to keep us going on this episode.
And one final question: is this a PG-13? How many f bombs am I allowed to drop in one setting?
You just be yourself, man.
All right, good,
Yeah.
good. Robert down there needed to know that information also. Me too.
So just making sure I have everybody's names right. I have Robert McDonald, Matthew Wester, Kevin Wayne, and Terry Wester.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I am ready to go whenever you guys are.
Yeah, let's kick it.
All right, everybody. So I am really excited about having this episode today. It's one that I've been looking forward to for a minute now. I reached out to these guys because I saw they had a new show. As you know, I've had Creek Wilson on my podcast, and I saw that he was part of a new show that was being recorded. And I got to looking it up, and I thought it sounded really cool. So I reached out to them to see about getting an interview done. And so now this is the biggest interview that I have done. I have actually 4 guests on that I'm going to be talking to tonight. And that is Robert McDonald. He is one of the writers for the show. We have Matthew Wester, who is a co-producer. We have Kevin Wayne, who is a producer, director, and he's playing a supporting role in the series. And we have Terry Wester, who is the writer and producer. And a lot of this, I believe, is based on his own experiences. And the show that I'm talking about is Broken Ashler. Man, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great.
Doing fantastic. Happy to be here.
Doing really good.
I am definitely happy to have you guys on the show. This is going to be a blast. It's a really interesting topic that the show brings up. So I kind of just want to jump right into things here. And like I said before, Terry, the show is based a lot on some of your experiences, is what you were saying. Kind of expand on that, on how you came up with the idea for the show.
Yeah. Well, first, just a little bit about my background. So, I was raised a master mason in the jurisdiction of Alabama in 2007. Quickly joined the Scottish Rite, went on to become a 32nd. Was inducted into the Court of Honor. Received my red hat, and then received the 33rd degree Inspector General honorary. And did we lose him?
I'm still here. My video actually just cut out on me.
Oh, perfect. Well, I'm going to keep talking.
Okay.
So with the receiving the 33rd in the Valley of Birmingham, I was later tapped when the Sovereign Grand Inspector General, Jamie Smith, retired, and I became deputy for the state of Alabama. So the Supreme Council is a national organization that's over 37 states and all the territories, and then I was the head of Alabama for that. I was also a member of Shriners International, Zamora Shrine, the York Rite of Freemasonry, all the different odds and ends. So I had a stack of dues cards out of my wallet, and we had a little bit of a falling out or a disagreement. And after that, I was working with Kevin on a documentary for one of the charitable foundations, and I didn't want to stop working with Kevin. So I kind of came up with the idea of, what if we created this world that mirrored our own and took on the topic of Freemasonry. And the topic that I was really interested is, what happened when conspiracy theory, which there's plenty of out there, what happened when that collides with the reality of what actually goes on behind the scenes. So we created this part fictional, part real world.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's, I mean, some of the best stories that you can come up with are based off of your own experiences and things like that. So you being able to have that background in this, I'm sure helped with creating what you have in here. And so when it comes to creating the show, what has been the most difficult part of getting this project started?
Difficult. Everything ran really smooth.
Honestly,
That's good. Yeah.
honestly, for me, like, there was nothing really difficult about it. We just it happened kind of fast, and we ran with it, and we got it done.
Right.
Out and just asked if I wanted to be part of this project, and I was just amazed at what he'd done so far. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Like Terry said, we were working on another project, a documentary, and then he said he wanted to change some things, and then like a couple weeks later, he sends me this list of like a synopsis of scenes, like a beat sheet sort of, and like I'm in, let's do it, and it kind of just snowballed from there, and it happened.
Yeah, and I guess the hardest thing for me, and I think probably Robert would agree, is we did not come, we were not brought up in the industry. We both had we have both had automotive backgrounds amongst other things. Automotive, I worked in insurance for a long time.
Okay.
So I banged out part of my script. Robert was writing his. He did a better job because he actually researched on how you should actually write a script. So I wrote it kind of in a novel format, and then I found out quickly that is not how the industry runs. So then I went back and I had to research and give myself a crash course on how scripts are written. Then I learned about shoot scripts, the difference between a shoot script and a regular script, and what is it?
Scene numbers,
getting sides out for auditions. That a lot of new terminology. I learned the code words on set when people are going to go, go to the bathroom, whether they're going to poop or they're going to pee. There's actual code words for that.
Really?
Microphone. Yeah. I was
10-1, 10-2.
Yeah. So 10-1, 10-2 lets you know whether somebody, they're going to go to the bathroom for a minute or 5. So it was really interesting, and I learned about SAG-AFTRA, the different union requirements that are required. Just learning some of the industry was tough. And then I think Robert, in another interview, and I'll let him talk about it, but I think Robert is a novelist.
Okay.
I think he's written 5 of his own novels. If I remember correctly. If I'm wrong, just pretend like it is 5.
Yeah, I've written 5 novels. I actually just finished my 5th over the weekend, so it's still got some polishing up to do before release day. But I've written 5 novels. I've written a bunch of short stories. I'm what's termed a hybrid published author, which I kind of hate the term, but it is what it is. Meaning some of my stuff is self-published, some of it is professionally published. So short stories are professionally published, and then my novels I self-publish them. I didn't think a traditional publisher would touch them. I still kind of feel that way with the content. A lot of it is really dark and really at times creepy and everything else. So I primarily write crime fiction and stuff like that. So there's a lot of twisted things going on. And the hardest part for me was just adapting myself to the differences between fiction writing, literature, and then script writing.
Right.
Formats are different, and then getting to know, the different ways of presenting things. And it was fun. It was a cool learning process. I really enjoyed it.
Now, when it came to, do you come from a Freemasons background as well?
I do not.
Okay.
I've known Terry for going on 10 years now, I think.
Okay.
He was probably the first prominent Freemason I knew. I've known people who were Freemasons, throughout the years, and I have a lot of friends who are or were Freemasons.
Right.
So I heard a lot. I got a lot of stories, but I never got brought into the to the brotherhood, so to speak.
I got you. So for me, I have a lot, especially on my mom's side of the family, that are in that, and but I don't know a lot about it when it comes to, so the reason why I asked that to you is when it comes to like certain terminology and things like that, how much was it an adjustment to come up with whenever you were writing for this?
Oh yeah, it was huge, and Terry can tell you. Like I left a lot of like the specifics of certain things that were going on to him. Like he would give it. He gave us, Terry pretty much put together basically an outline for us for the scene we're going to be writing. So we knew generally where he I knew where he wanted to go with them. So a lot of it was just, fleshing out characters, dialogue, stuff like that. But then when it came to the actual Masonic stuff, a lot of it I either reached out and said, hey, how does this work? Or I just let him handle that part of the writing. So we really did work together on this. There's a lot of me and there's a lot of him in there.
That's cool. Collaboration on projects like that, really helps a lot. I actually work with a comic book company out of Central Arkansas, and seeing them collaborate with their stories and stuff to come up with a whole story. You know, each person kind of brings in their own thing to the story, and so yeah, I like that. You know, whenever people are able to do that, it makes for a more interesting story, I feel.
And I think, Robert, this is the first time that you've worked with somebody else. I know you had mentioned that, you know, that was at first a struggle, that you had an outline and you had to go back and try to work off of somebody else's plan.
Yeah, that for sure is. And that's it's something is you know, any type of writer will run into that. If you want to play in somebody else's sandbox, you've got to adjust your writing to their rules. So, you know, Terry kind of set the rules of the world of how things go, and then I had to kind of conform to that. And then just collaborating with somebody, you know, there's creative differences, there's different ways you would phrase things, different ways he would phrase things. So we kind of had to work all that out. But I honestly, it's for my first time collaborating with somebody, I thought it went really well. We're both, you know, we've got thick enough skin that if we think something's a problem or we need to talk about it, we will. So
Right.
we didn't have a lot of I wouldn't say we had really any serious conflicts in the story that came up. um you know, might have been a couple of places where we wanted to go in slightly different direction, or you know, where I needed to clean up some language, or where he needed to, you know, adjust some language to make sure it conformed to, you know, the Masonic. You know, one of the big goals was to make this as true to true Freemasonry as possible, while
Yeah.
also putting our own dark twist on it. So,
Right.
you know, one of the things we want to do is make sure that the ritual, all that kind of stuff, any of that we have in here is legit. So I really relied on him for all of that. Um, I've got a little more experience writing dialogue, you know, kind of setting things up so that they flow the way people actually talk. Um, so you know, a lot of that part I handled, or, you know, vice versa. You know, like I said, it was true collaboration. You can read our scripts and you cannot really tell where Terry starts and Robert, you know, where Robert picks up and ends. So that's a
Good.
good thing, and that's a sign of a good collaboration in my experience.
That's good. So I do have to ask this. Explain the name to me. How does that fit into this story?
So I'll take that one. That's a Masonic description. So the traditional spelling of Ashlar is Ashlar.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I get a kick out of the most is people telling me that I spelled it wrong. Uh, and we won't reveal the meaning of the spelling here. That will be actually in the show, and people are gonna have to figure that out.
Okay.
But it annoys the hell out of Freemasons. I've gotten private messages, and it's literally just all they put is dot dot dot, the ASHLAR.
Yeah, I got two messages from actors. They're like, you know,
Yeah.
the spelling's wrong, right? I'm like, no.
So one of the things when for in my mind, when we're creating this fantasy world that's kind of meshed off of reality, what we're looking at is the glitches,
Yeah.
the things that kind of break in and out, and all of that will make sense in the show. And
Mhm.
if you pay attention to the show, it'll make sense, because one of the big things in Masonry is things are veiled in allegory. One word means something else, and an
Okay.
ashlar is a perfectly cut stone that's ready to go into a building. So in the Masonic world, an entered apprentice, a fellow craft, and a master mason are tradesmen that are cutting their cubicle stone for that house not made with hands. They're trying to improve themselves as they're going along. It's
Okay.
it's typically represented by a cubicle stone that's rough. It's not finished, but it has three corners, three sides where the corner meets.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Everything is square. Everything is true. And that represents them. They have started working, but it's not complete.
Gotcha.
So in Broken Ashler, one of the things that we're going off of is what happens when that derails, because we're human tendencies come into play. Cain killed Abel, different things happen along the way that cause you to deviate. But what are the serious human interactions that can cause you to just go off the rails? All right, so we have a group of imperfect characters that are in a world, and they are putting on a front that they are working towards perfection. So one of the big things that you'll see in the show is the contrast between how they act outside of the lodge room and how they act once they enter.
Okay. So there'll be a large difference in that. When it comes to the different themes that we're going to see in this show, what are some of the things that people can expect? What is going to draw people into this show?
I would say go round robin and let everybody, without just directly referencing script, about what you think would get you watching.
Yeah.
And Jared, you can just you lead us there, but I would just go around and.
Okay, well, let's just start with Matthew.
Well, I would say mystery, because
Okay.
I'm a big mystery buff. I like trying to solve the puzzles, and any kind of a book or a movie, I like trying to figure it out for myself. So I think I'd say mystery.
Okay. And let's see, Kevin.
I would say it's the dynamic of the characters, because all these characters are so different and so dynamic through this whole series, and they're going to have conflict, all of them, and it's just the dynamic of all these characters. That's why I was so anxious to direct this, because there's just so much content and so much conflict, and it's like Terry said, you see how they act, when they're in the lodge, when they're outside of the lodge.
Right. Robert.
I kind of agree a lot with Kevin. I think the dynamics between the individual characters really drive what makes this story unique, what's going to make it awesome and interesting to people. I think some of the other things, just some of the overall themes, seeing, you know, there's a dark side of the consuming public that does want to see the hero tarnished. They want to see him knocked off their pedestal. And I think what we're doing is going to kind of feed into that a little bit, as well as, people are just curious about Freemasonry. Like, they want to know, hey, what's it look like inside a Masonic lodge? Even knowing that it's fictional portrayal, we do want to have a lot of reality there as well. So I think that, people who are interested in conspiracy theory stuff, that's all going to pull different sorts of people in to check it out. But definitely the character dynamics are going to be a big draw.
Right. And Terry.
So I like the conflict in between the characters, but one of the things that I like is just it's appealing to the mob, right? So I like water cooler moments where people go into work the next day and say, "Holy shit, did you see that?"
Right. Yeah.
The first Deadpool movie, the first thing that anybody talked to me about was, "Did you see Ryan Reynolds get pegged?"
Yeah. Okay.
That's what everybody talked about immediately, right? So
yeah.
we have built some moments in, and we have some characters that have some holy shit moments.
Okay.
Some of the conflicts, are dark, but they're real. These are conflicts that happen in the Masonic world. There are extramarital affairs. There is racism that gets involved in certain places. There are drug users that are masquerading as straight. That's everything that happens in day-to-day world. Any office that you walk into is going to have the same problems.
Right.
So the people are going to relate to the different topics, and I'm really interested to see what people are willing to talk about the next day.
Yeah. So there is some shock factor when it comes to this show, and things that, people aren't going to be used to seeing, I guess you would say. And is there any points when you were recording that are some of your favorite moments, and we can go around again like we did before. What would be each one of your favorite moments when it came to recording the show? We will start with Matthew again.
Well, I guess one of my favorite moments was getting to do the interviews. I've never been in front of the camera. I'd always been either a photographer or the camera person holding a camera for somebody else.
Yeah.
But I got to be in front of the camera.
Right.
So I think that would be my favorite experience.
Okay. Kevin?
My favorite would be one, the character Randy Crane. And when we were filming, it was played by Cheney Morrow, great actor out of North Carolina.
Okay.
When he was doing the initiation scene, he literally he started shaking. His chest was like just moving, like he was just, you know, terror set in when he was doing that. It, like he was, and then I asked him after. I said, "What was going on?" And he said, "Man, I was just in the moment." He said, "Working with Terry," and he's like, "I kind of felt like I was there in the moment in an obligation. I was there, and he was literally. You'll see it. His chest was shaking, and it was, for me, that was great because playing that, and I love that character because he's just like on the fence about it. You know, it just that was great for me. You know?
Robert?
For me, I think just seeing how the whole process works. So I had never really seen behind the camera how the whole process of shooting scenes, shooting really anything work, and seeing the amount of work that goes into it was just really impressive and mind blowing. You know, we all hear about the directors to some extent, the writers, the producers, but honestly, man, the hardest working guy on that set is probably the cameraman, you know, and some of those grips. I mean, you know, the guys that we had, they worked themselves into the ground. It was insane. And it was crazy to me just to see how much effort it took just to get some of the smallest scenes. You know, what may only end up being 60 seconds on your screen one day may have taken us all day to shoot. So
Right.
that was a really cool experience. It gave me a new appreciation for what everybody behind the camera does, not just, you know, not just writers, directors, producers, but everybody who makes all of that vision really come into being.
Yeah. And Terry?
Yeah, so I have to. I'll start off by saying just reiterating what Robert said. The seeing it work. You know, we shot at Alabama Point for one of the scenes, and I worked in body shops. I grew up in body shops before I went into the insurance world. I busted my ass working in the body shops. I have never worked so hard in my life. You know, carrying equipment across sand, getting it out there. She couldn't drive a vehicle, so seeing that work was great. But one of the best scenes is we're actually on location. All right, the room that we're in now is at Trussville Cigar Company, and this is the blue room. You know, you can't, there's a little Shriner Fez over my shoulder.
Sammy's right there.
The skeleton Sammy, he's a character in the show.
Okay.
We've got some other stuff off, but we filmed two of the scenes here. One of them you can't really tell it, but we shot one scene here, and the scene it's basically a bunch of Masons letting off steam after a lodge meeting. The reason that spoke to me is one of my favorite, most memorable memories of being a Mason was when we would leave a lodge meeting and we would actually come here to this room. And we would sit around, we would smoke. Robert would come join us sometimes. We would have some outsiders that would come in, and we kind of let go of what they called the secret squirrel stuff, you know, the things that we weren't supposed to talk about.
Okay.
But the conversations really went sideways quick. I mean, there was shit said that would make your mom blush and, you know, get your middle name called, you know. So seeing that portrayed on camera brought back a lot of memories. And since I'm not in the world, a little bit of nostalgia and a little bit of hurt. You know, I don't get to do that anymore. But that scene's fucked up. I mean, it's messed up. It is messed up. I can't wait. Listen, when you go back to watch the show, when you see the guys break out the liquor and they're hanging around smoking cigars, sit back and enjoy the dialogue, because
Okay.
it is messed up, but it's a great conversation through the whole thing.
Okay. So that kind of brings up a question here with me. Are there a lot of heated debates that go on when you're in, like, at a meeting?
Yeah, so when you're actually in a Masonic meeting, there are some heated moments. Some of the things that are supposed to be forbidden is talk of religion and politics.
Okay.
But we're in Alabama, if you've got a lot of if you've got a lot of Southern Baptists, if you've got a lot of Methodists, they're going to wind up talking about it.
Yeah.
It is, but you're
Yeah.
not supposed to recruit people into your religion. Um, and there are certain, if you're Muslim, the chances are you're going to get excluded. I only know of one in Alabama.
Okay.
And he had to find a good metro lodge with a younger population in order to allow him to be a part of it, even though the only requirement is to have a belief in God. You're not supposed to say, hey, this religion's excluded, whatever. As long as you have a belief in God, you're supposed to be allowed to join.
Okay.
Politics, we're in MAGA country, so if you deviate from right wing politics, they're probably going to talk to you about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just it just happens, but you're not supposed to, because that distorts brotherhood and everything else. But yeah, you'll hear arguments. The majority of the lodge meetings that people attend, the abbreviated term for it is eat, meet, and go home. So basically, you come in, you have a spaghetti dinner, maybe somebody has pizza, whatever. You eat, drink some coffee. There's ritual to open and close a Masonic lodge. That's not written down until now, but you would actually go through this opening, ritualized opening, and then you go through the order of business following Robert's Rules of Order. You read the minutes, you talk about it, new business, unfinished business, go to the order where everybody talks about the next meeting and what they're going to eat. Maybe there's an entered apprentice or a fellow crafter coming up. And then they go through the closing ritual. So you're in and out in 30, 45 minutes. There's nothing really gained there. Some lodges, you go in and they'll have programs.
Okay.
So you'll actually go in, they'll have some type of theological discussion. They'll talk about some of the different ritual components, but for the most part, it's eat, meet, and go home, which is why we always wound up at the cigar shop, because a lot of the guys wanted more. They wanted to out. Yeah, so that's really a lot of what goes on, and a lot of the most heated arguments are, there's a leak in the roof. Do we get another bid to fix the roof, the air conditioner? Hey, this guy can do it for 7,000. This guy can do it for 8. Yeah, well, my cousin said he could do it for 4. Those turn into really heated because money's tight these days in Masonic lodges. Membership is planning over the years was not good, so a lot of the lodges suffer from a lack of funds, and even the guys that want to do things, they usually get shut down because there's no funding for it.
Right. Yeah. So I know there's another side to this, and I actually know this from a girl that I dated back in high school. There is a younger group based off of this, correct? You have the Eastern Star and the DMLA when it comes to Masonic, correct?
Yeah, so the Masonic youth organizations are the International Order of Rainbow for girls. And
Rainbow, that's it, yes.
And I want to say that goes to 18. It might go to 21. You have Job's Daughters that is really popular in northern states. I don't think there's a Job's Daughters in Alabama. And then the International Order of DMLA for boys. And that is for boys up to the age of 21. To join most Masonic lodges, most jurisdictions, they require a candidate to be 21 years old. So DMLA is kind of that bridge that gets there. I have 4 children, and my children, even though I was heavily involved, were never involved in any of the youth organizations. I never pushed them to join, and honestly, I didn't want them to join.
I think whenever I heard about it, like they were having like a dance or something like that, and it was a way to try to bring more people into Rainbow. I think is the one, like you said, there is what they were getting into and everything. But it was nothing. I didn't even know about any of this until she brought it up to me and invited me to go to this. I didn't go, but it's funny all the parts that you don't know about unless you were told about it directly.
Right. Well, and that's one of the problems. So the majority of Dee Malay and Rainbow Girls,
Mm-hmm.
majority of those are the daughters and sons of Masons. They don't really have a lot of outsiders. Now they can get in and they try to, but a lot of them they've got that Masonic connection, and that's the reason why they're involved. And I don't want to use this term flippantly or say the wrong thing here, but grooming is not the right word. That's very bad connotations, but it's kind of a preparation for getting them ready to be members going forward. It's taking somebody and maybe it's indoctrinating. Maybe that's what I'm saying. But it's really getting them in the moment to go through. Some of the lessons taught in Dee Malay and Rainbow Girls are really good. But again, I never wanted my children involved in it. I never had warm and fuzzies with it. I'll just say that.
Gotcha.
I wanted them to make their own decisions once they became of age.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of switch back over to more of the technical side of everything here. I kind of want to talk about the casting, because part of the reason why we're here is because of one of the guys that was cast for the show. I've had Creek Wilson on the show. So what did that look like whenever it came to casting these characters in the show?
Well, normally you have a big casting call or put it out, or you hire a casting director to go find all these actors. But I've been in the field. I've been acting since I was 20.
Okay.
56. So I've worked in a lot of productions, and I've just built relationships with a lot of actors. And every time Robert and Terry come up with the character, I was like, okay, I know this guy, and this guy. So I just called them up, and we kind of put them on a board, cast wall board, and we kind of went from there. And none of them said no. We did. There was one character, the gay character. We did reach out to a casting company to find that character. And I know actors that could play that part, but this character was Hispanic, so I didn't really know anybody. So we hired Goldman Casting to bring us in some auditions for that character, and we just, I think we got to look at those, but.
Yeah, I think we have some.
He didn't play in the POC, but he will play in the series once we go.
Okay.
But it was it was cool because I would just call actors up. They're like, yes, and then we actually had them. We put them on tape ourselves, and they sent in the tapes. We watched them, and we kind of picked from there.
I would be curious what Robert casting process. As a writer, seeing the actual faces come up.
Yeah, I mean, it helped for me that we had, like Kevin said, we would talk about these characters and he would go, well, there's this guy, this guy, and this guy. And when he did that, I made notes and I kind of went and looked up these guys' IMDb and kind of got a feel for them, just like physically, how does this person look? Do I see this person in this character? And we had some ideas of where we wanted to go early on with some of the casting. So that kind of helped, with the way I wanted to write some of the characters. But, one thing is, I mean, it's completely different from writing to actually see somebody speaking the lines you've written, acting out the role that you have written. It's a completely different thing, and sometimes they can bring something to it that you didn't expect, that actually makes it better, just their interpretation of it. So that was an interesting experience, and it was just cool to see stuff that I had written, actually being acted. That was a trip for me. I really enjoyed that. But it it's easier now that we have everybody cast, who we
Mhm.
want for most of our main roles. It's a lot easier in the writing process because I can picture that person. I've heard their voice now. I know kind of the way they speak, kind of some of their mannerisms, so I can really kind of play with that as well and kind of play to their strengths that they already have, so they more naturally feel like, hey, yes, this is me in this role. I
Right.
can be me, and I think it hopefully long run that will make a lot of this stuff a lot more believable, and it'll hopefully something everybody will enjoy.
Yeah. So did you have it like written out, like character descriptions whenever you were coming up with these different characters?
We didn't have so much like a set in stone description of the character. Like we had, I mean, it was very much, we want for this character, we want somebody within this age range, this type of background.
Right.
We kind of had to look at some demographics too. How much diversity do we want to bring into this, as much as possible, obviously for just commercial purposes, but
Yeah.
also what's reality. I think a lot of people are kind of pushing back on some of the when you're trying to write something serious that takes place in the real world, if it doesn't reflect reality, it's going to not work real well.
Right.
So you see shows like Sons of Anarchy, you've got diversity there,
Right.
but you also see that the biker gangs are very racial in their makeup. That's
Yes.
just the
Yeah.
way they are, and that reflects the real world. So
Yeah.
it's a more believable thing. So we had to be careful with that as well to make sure we were able to reflect the real world. But there were a few people where we're like, yes, we want this person to be this, 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 and this. But by and large, it was, I want a male from this age range, from say, upper middle class background. He's going to be a lawyer, something like that, in finance, something like that. This
Mhm.
guy is going to be a sleazy used car salesman. Here's his age range. And we went from there. And then you get, as a writer, you get to riff on those basic, those very basic details, and you get to go, okay, how do I make this work for this character?
Right. Right. So I actually know a guy who is the director for Hit Monkey on Hulu. And something that he has told me about that they use a lot. He worked with a lot of the CW shows. He was part of Vampire Diaries and some of the other ones as well. Is storyboards. Is this something that you guys use whenever you are recording and shooting video?
Yes. Yeah, we that's probably after the script was locked, we went straight to our storyboard artist, and he storyboarded basically off our script, and kind of like the shot notes that I would want.
Yeah.
And I went with the DP, and we came up with yeah, every shot was storyboarded.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's cool.
And also, we go a little further. We do, and I've always done this. Like we'll do a storyboard, but we put it into a video previs.
Okay.
And so you kind of see like the storyboard in a video, and it's very generic, but it gives the whole team, the production team, an idea of what we're going to shoot and what.
Right.
It gave me an idea of what wouldn't work also.
True.
Right.
In the very beginning on one of the key scenes, when it was the previs came out, the storyboard, it looked fine. When the previs came out, it just
Right.
didn't work. It actually turned into two scenes.
Okay.
And a lot of the storyboards, they're generic. So it's like Terry said, there's things when we get on set, we're like, well, that's not, working with the DP, like that's not going to work, but we're close. So, it puts you in the range and keeps everybody, on track.
Yeah. One thing that I've learned just from doing the show and being part of a comic book company and things is there's a lot of similarities between coming up with a comic and coming up with a script, and trying to make sure that what you're putting out there is exactly what you wanted visually. Because I think that probably the closest to doing a television show or a movie would be a comic book, because you have the panels and things, and you have your camera angles that you have to have for those panels and things like that. And I'm guessing the storyboarding is a lot of where that comes into play with that.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. So when it comes to the recording side of this, how far along are you guys with recording?
Shooting, like shooting the.
Yes.
Well, we're in post right now on the POC, and then
Okay.
we just got a rough cut today. Yes,
Okay.
we got a full rough cut today, and we'll view that. We'll make notes and send it back, and then go from there.
And we've already our composer.
Yep. Sam,
What's his name?
LaFlame.
Sam LaFlame. He gets a copy of all the rough cuts as they're coming out, so he can kind of get his creative juices flowing.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the composition is coming along well, and we have a teaser. I was hoping to have the teaser ready for tonight. We were actually going to let you see the teaser, but it's not there yet.
I get that.
But we have an incredibly dark teaser, and Robert McDonald's actually one of the characters in it. He does not like to be in front of the camera, but we 100% stuck him in front of the camera. But the score for that, man, it got my blood pumping, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So seeing that come along.
Yeah, Sam's good. It's gonna be good.
So I was gonna jump in and say, Kevin, you might, because we've used the term POC a couple of times. You might want to, for people who don't know what that is, just kind of explain what that is and what our goal is with it. That might, help people who don't really know how this process goes, see how it works behind the scenes.
Yeah, POC is a proof of concept. So basically, you take some scenes from what's written and you film them, and then you put that together and you package that up with a pitch deck, and then you present it to distributors, investors, and for the whole series. And we shot a lot more than you really need for a POC, so a few more scenes and we'd have a full episode. So, but a POC is a proof of concept, and we our team, we had a phenomenal team, and it looks phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
Okay. So what is the next step in this process after you have that done? Is that where you come up based on the pilot, and then do you present this to different networks, or how does that actually work? The process on getting this actually on television?
Yeah, we will pitch to networks. My manager in LA, she will help with that.
Okay.
Agency, they will help get us pitch meetings, and we'll go to networks, investors to get the season going.
Okay. So do you have a time frame of when exactly you were looking for this to maybe be done to do that?
Our lock date is November 1.
Yeah,
November 1.
Yeah, we start pitch. So the pitch deck is in process now, and you can think of the pitch deck from just purely business terms as to why should a distributor or investor pump $10 or $12 million into production. So we have to go from the business framework. But in getting there, one of the things that Kevin told me is a lot of the distributors and investors, they get hit with, hey, here's a script, this
pitch deck,
and a pitch deck. So we wanted to show what Kevin said was skin in the game. So when we started doing it, we had a handful of scenes picked out. Then we went back and revised it for the proof of concept, and we took scenes from various episodes because we have scripts.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a pilot script; we have scripts ready to
go.
And we took various scenes and we created a short story out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got to kind of get a little, pardon the term, artsy fartsy while you're looking at it, for it to make sense. But we told a story about what the Broken Ashler world looks like as a combination of actual ritual,
what could happen,
what can happen, what happens at the way people act outside, maybe some conspiracy theory things, actual conspiracies, plus a brand new one that we made. I'm excited to see how that goes on the interweb. See how that comes out. We're going to see if people can bite on that one. But yeah, there's it's a combination of all. But we put together, we filmed entirely in 8K.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Red camera.
with the red camera, we shot in 8K. We had a behind the scenes videographer, behind the scenes photographer. So when we go to the distributors, that's the difference between somebody that's just casting a line out and somebody coming with the full business product.
Right. Well, it makes it a little easier on their side to be like, okay, you're kind of ahead of the game compared to some of the others that just have a concept.
Right. Well, there's so many scripts, and there's so many scripts, and there's so many pitches out there with the pitch deck. Here's our script. Here's our pitch deck. You know, give us some money. You know, and I know this from my manager. Like investors, you know, networks, they like to see, like Terry said, you put skin in the game. You know, we would put above and beyond to show them what it's going to look like.
Right. So did you have any pushback? Because I know that when it comes to creating something that deals with, you know, stories like this, I mean, it's very secretive in that world. Have you had any pushback coming up with this story, or people finding out that you're going to be telling this story?
So yeah, I guess I'll have to take that one. Yeah. So there, yes. So I received. So I had a total of 5 very threatening text messages. 2 of them are just borderline death threats, and like a good shit stirrer, I turned that into a social media post. So I took screenshots and actually put it out there. And then I'm saving the actual with the people's names, because I may send that into the Grand Lodge of Alabama and ask them, you know, hey, is this how all your members act?
Right.
You know, again, just to stir the pot. But I've made over the years, I have made hundreds of contacts across the country, thousands of contacts in the state of Alabama. They still reach out to me. I've had members that have come to my cigar shop while I'm working. That's one of my side hustles.
Okay.
And they've tried to convince me to come back. They want me to come back. But some of the things are, you better not make us look bad. A lot of people question, you know, hey, do you think he's going to tell some of the dirtier side? And there is a dirty side to it. You know, the majority of members are pretty good dudes. You know, they're the rank and file members. They're planting the fish fries. They're working. You know, they're giving shoes to kids.
Right.
There's that. We'll call it the 5%. You know, maybe a bit less, but there are some guys that like to have a good time. You know, and you know, there's some things that go behind the scenes at home. People that aren't the upstanding citizens that they appear to be in public.
Right.
So yeah, there's been some controversy, some people talking, people wondering what I'm going to put, what I'm putting out there, and I'll without giving away anything in it, we're including the actual unwritten ritual.
Okay.
So when somebody, if you want to know what a Mason goes through when he's obligated, watch the show.
Right.
Because we're actually going to show the actual ritual that takes place in a Masonic lodge. That's
Interesting.
Never been wrote down, never been filmed.
Oh, wow. So we can expect to see some really, what could be, I don't know the word that you would want to use for that, but I mean, you're going to see things that nobody else have been able to see besides people who have been inside the temple. So I'm guessing things like that have been a lot of what has been, you know, frowned on for what you're going to be showing on screen.
Correct. And we've got a little bit of a technical difficulty going here.
Okay.
Here we are. We're back. Yeah. So there's some of the things going on screen. It's gonna stir the pot, and that's another thing that makes this such a compelling. The reason why a distributor or an investor should want this. You take the millions of Freemasons that are in America. You take the millions, or you know, with 1 point whatever in America. You take the millions across the globe.
Right.
They're buying lapel pins. They're buying hats. They're buying shirts. You know, those guys are gobbling up anything that has to do with Freemasonry. So they're going to be interested to see this one, to find out how pissed off they are at me. Right.
All right.
Just
yeah.
Being fair with it. They're also going to get in there to try and say, okay, Terry, when Terry wrote this, he used thee in the place of they, because Masonry is very specific on, if you say the versus thee, you're going to get your ass chewed out.
Okay.
It's little asinine little things like that used to drive me nuts. But they're going to be looking for any inconsistencies, and then they're going to be on the faceplace, and they're going to say, these guys are hacks. We had one guy on Facebook that said these hacks can't even spell Ashlar right. So we recommended that he go to IMDb and stay on it for 35 seconds and help our ratings. But the whole thing there though is that then you get into the conspiracy theorists, the people. I was in a video saying that to become a 33rd or become a Master Mason or a Master of the Lodge, I forget exactly what it was, is you had to become a Luciferian priest. I can tell you that as 33rd, I never had to become a Luciferian priest to become.
Right. Yeah.
But those same people, even if I were to tell them that, they would say, well, you're just hiding, you're hiding what happens, and the lower ranks don't know. So they're going to be watching it because they're going to be interested. And then you've got the people that just literally know nothing about Freemasons. They've watched The Simpsons and they've seen Homer and the Stonecutters.
Right.
Fred Flintstone and the Order of the Buffalo. There's actually a water buffalo. There's a shrine degree called the Water Buffalo degree. I think it's a bunch of Shriners that put it on. But you get the Fred Flintstone Water Buffalo hat.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have been exposed to Freemason because Freemasonry is a pop culture reference.
Right.
Like, have you heard the term blackballed?
Yes, I have.
All right, so just keep it in line with pop culture and how things happen. The blackball comes from how members are selected. So,
okay.
So when a member joins, they come. There's this old phrase: to be one, ask one. You can't be asked to join a lodge, but if you ask a member, they'll give you a petition. Once you got the petition, you have to have somebody recommend you, and you have to have 2 people to vouch for you. Then it goes to a committee. The committee is supposed to go out. And in the past, they would go talk to your neighbors. They would go to your work, find out what kind of man you were.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of a rubber stamp process in most places now.
Yeah.
Which is why some of the wrong people, maybe not upstanding citizens, might be members now.
Right.
Some of the standards drop. And then you have to also look at what the standards were. If you've got somebody who is just a deeply racist individual, if you're a man of color, that's probably enough for them to say, hey, he's not made for this.
Yeah.
If it's a gay man, hey, he's gay. He definitely is not a good man. He can't be a part of it. That man got divorced, therefore he can't be it, so you get into some interpretations there, so individuals can affect that. But once all that happens, the committee reports back to the lodge. They put a box in Alabama. They put it next to the altar, but most jurisdictions they put a ballot box on the altar, and that ballot box is a wooden box. Sometimes it's metal, but it has white stones and black stones on the inside of it.
Okay.
So when you come up, you go to the altar, you give the Masonic sign for whatever degree you're in, and then you pick up one of the stones and you drop it in. Your hand is inside the box so nobody can see. So what happens is after it's done, they present the ballot to the main officers, and then they'll be asked, how was the ballot? So the first time it goes around, if there's only one black ball in there, that person will say it's cloudy. Then the next officer, it's cloudy. So 3 people confirm the ballot. Nobody else is allowed to see it. There's only 3 men in the lodge that get to see it: the worshipful master, the senior warden, and the junior warden.
Okay.
Then they vote again, because it's possible that somebody could have just picked up the wrong stone, right? The wrong
right.
Ball.
Yeah.
So then they vote again. If it comes up again with one black ball, all right, it's a black marble. If that black marble's in there, then it's dark. It is dark in the south. It's dark in the west. It's dark in the east, and then the worshipful master declares that the candidate is unable to become a Mason. He uses some verbiage that's in the script that I don't want to use, but he declares that the candidate has failed the ballot, and then at that point, that candidate is no longer, he can come back and petition again, but he has to write on there that he's been rejected once. And if you've been rejected once, it's kind of a death sentence. You're never going to get in.
Right.
It's very, very rare that it happens. But that's where it comes up. But now on that first go around, if there's 2 black balls or 3 black balls, it's automatically dark, but you get blackballed from the fraternity.
Okay. So that I had no idea that that's where that term came from. And you hear it all the time, especially in like Hollywood, you know, and places like that. Now, when it comes to Hollywood, there's as soon as you say Freemasons, there's a word that comes up that's became very popular from Hollywood. And that's the word Illuminati, you know, that people bring up in that. How many times have people been come up to you to ask, you know, is this an Illuminati conspiracy theory? Or, you know, because I know that's had to have happened already.
Oh yeah, I get that. I've got some kooks, you know, just wackadoodles out there, and when they found out I was participating in this, you're going to hell, you're worshiping Satan, you're going to do this, and then they started asking about the Illuminati.
Yeah.
Did my brother ever tell me about the Illuminati? I've even had people ask me, well, does he really know where the Holy Grail is? I mean,
all right.
spooky people.
Yeah.
So I got, first off, I got to say this too. I got married last week. Love you, Vanessa. I just had
Congratulations.
Thank you. So Vanessa, when she started, when we were first dating, I had some of my mother's rings. It was she's departed, but one of the rings that she had, it's actually just an old sterling silver ring that is stamped, and you can kind of make out an eyeball. Maybe it looks like an eye to some people. When people found out that she was dating me, she was immediately stopped when she started wearing the ring. And they said, "You're dating, so the Illuminati, it's real?" Because he had this ring that looked like an eyeball. And they just, people would just stop her and they would ask her about it. And she's like, "Look, it's just an Art Deco ring. Here's the pattern." They're like,
yeah.
That's the eye of horse, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. I you hear it all the time. I mean, in fact, one of my friends, somebody I know, and I told him I was going to be doing this interview for this show. And that was the first word that came out of their mouth as soon as I told them what the show was about. So I wondered if it was, you know, something, because right now I would say that being a conspiracy theorist is kind of a popular thing, I guess you could say. There's a lot more people that get involved with the conspiracy theories now than maybe there were in the past, or maybe it's just because the internet is where it is now. But, you know, and they found a way to kind of group together and come up with all these conspiracy theories. But it does definitely seem like you see them more now than you ever have in the past.
Well, there's a reason. Our social media manager, when she creates a post, she'll put on stuff like Masonic, Freemason, but hashtag conspiracy, hashtag Masonic conspiracy. Those hashtags have got way more posts than we do. So
really,
yeah. So we're marketing to them. We want them to know that this show is coming. It's coming, and we want them to talk about it.
Yeah.
But we're going to give some of the conspiracies are true.
Okay.
And I want to jump back to our casting too. So one of our leads is one of our leads that is a well-known actor out of Hollywood, 80s, late 90s. I'm not going to mention his name, but it was going to be an offer only, and so I'm really good friends with him and his girl. And so we were talking to him. It was all good, and then we were going to have a Zoom just to interview, and we were all excited, and we're talking to him, and he's a Mason. And he was talking about how the Masons helped him when he got to Hollywood. He was living at the YMCA, and they pulled him out of there. And he had a really, really good career, and but we didn't cast him because it didn't go well after we found out he was a Mason.
Yeah, no.
Gotcha.
He didn't like the darker aspects of it.
Yeah.
He wanted to gloss over it, and one of the craziest things and I don't like happy endings in movies and shows. I'm going to tell you, I like dark endings. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I read the darker comic books in the '90s. That's what I was in.
Yep.
So when he wanted us to have a this is almost word for word. I don't remember exactly what it is. He wanted to have a well-dressed gentleman come out at the end of every episode, sit down and explain why this is not true and why you should join.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. And
wow.
Gonna work.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work. So
Yeah,
we
no.
yeah, we kind of ended that Zoom meeting, and that was that.
Yeah, on the Illuminati and the conspiracy. I mean, and by the way, when I mispronounce the names, I do it just to aggravate the kids that might be watching or listening. But
Yeah.
you get on TikTok, right? And on TikTok, there's you type in Masonic Conspiracy, man, you can entertain yourself for hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're everywhere. I mean, just hours and hours of those kind of videos.
But this is what Broken Ashler really dives into is we're in a world that has conspiracy theories in the real world. There are conspiracy theories, and then there is the reality of the Masons.
Right.
But there are realities of the Masons that can be worse than the conspiracy theories. All right, that's just factual. That's the way it works. For the most part, just like I said, for the 95%, they're great guys. I've got some guys that if they called me in Kentucky, I don't want to use their names on this, but if he called me in Kentucky and he told me that he needed something, I would drive to Kentucky to help. All right.
Oh, wow.
I would drive to North Carolina to help another man. There's 2 men in those states that I would drop everything to help them because they are good men.
Right.
I also know some guys that they're pretty shitty, and they shouldn't be a part of a fraternity that espouses itself to be one of the big slogans is making good men better. Like
Yeah.
if you're not a good man, you shouldn't be a part of it. That slogan is not "we make men better." It's
Right.
good men better. So if you're starting off below the 8 ball, you're not going to make it. But when it comes to the conspiracies, we are 100% going to delve into the major conspiracies that are out there. One of the big conspiracies is the Freemasons control the government.
Yeah.
We're going to lean into that. We're going to have fun.
There you go.
What happens when a judge is a brother and another brother is this may or may not be part of it, but what if the brother's a pedophile and he confesses to the judge that he is? The judge should recuse himself, right?
Right.
Would that actually happen? We would like to say yes, but the obligation for a master mason is that they will not reveal the secrets of a master mason when communicated to and received by me as such, murder and treason accepted, and these at my election. All right. So I just gave your viewers some unwritten ritual, by the way. That's my gift to you.
Appreciate that.
That's part of the master mason obligation. But if you really think about that, what it just said is when it's communicated to. So if a master mason goes to another master mason, says, I've got a secret. Are you willing to keep it?
Yeah.
All right. So he says yes. Masonically, he's obligated not to tell the police or anybody else unless it's murder or treason. But then there's a caveat, and these are my election. So he can still choose to keep those secrets if he chooses. Now, whether that happens, I don't know. But that is the obligation that's taken, and it's taken in most jurisdictions on the King James Bible, and it's sealed with a kiss at the end of it.
So going back to one thing that you said a minute ago, I have noticed this since I started following you guys on TikTok. I've had a lot more of those conspiracy videos start showing up on my feed.
Right. Yeah, and that's the algorithm, and it's probably I would have to guess it's because of our hashtags and how we.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because I like the video when it comes up, and they're like, oh well, he likes more of these, and there's some crazy stuff out there, and so I'm very interested to see what we'll see in the show, and compare it back to some of the other conspiracies that I've heard.
Right. Yeah, and we're gonna delve into them. It's gonna. So we have season 1 pretty much under wrap. Season,
Okay.
We also have seasons 2 and 3 that we have a synopsis and beat sheets.
Okay.
And the beat sheet is the rhythm of the episodes, how that's going along.
Yeah.
So we have that that material, and we also have material for a prequel that would either be an actual film prequel or potentially a graphic novel.
Okay.
For 3 of the characters, there are some subject matters that I want to explore with those 3 characters that I couldn't get away with TVMA. Just because
Okay.
they're gonna do some terrible shit in the show.
Okay. All right.
But they're gonna put their ties on and go to lodge afterwards.
And we also have a character we're talking about that's going to renounce because of his religion.
Okay. So yeah, that's another side of it that I'd heard, but I had never had that confirmed, that there are people who aren't even, that are outside of the Christian religion when it comes to being in the Freemasons. That you can have, like you said, there was a gentleman that was a Muslim and stuff. You just have to believe in a God, correct?
Yeah, the correct terminology is you must have a belief in deity.
Okay.
And what that is, Albert Pike is the person that tons of conspiracy theories about him, by the way, but he was the person that coined for the Scottish Rite is you have a right to know if a man has a belief in God, but that's all you don't have a right to anything else from him. And the basis of that was, if somebody is going to make a vow to you, if they're going to say something, if in the terms of Masonry, is if they don't believe in God, then their vow is worthless because there's no penalty to their immortal soul. So
Gotcha. Okay.
It goes that way. But yeah, I mean, you can go outside. I believe Israel. There's a lodge in Israel that has a Torah, King James Bible, and a Quran on the altars. So when
wow.
Because of the very diverse population there, they have all 3 faiths that come through. I've sat in lodge with Hindi. I sat in lodge once with one Amish guy. Never really understood how that worked, but he was able to slip out. So I know one Amish Mason. I was in Oklahoma, or not Oklahoma City. I was in Utah earlier in the year for a leadership conference before I renounced, and that was a heavy Mormon population. So different populations. It's like anything. If you're in India, you're probably gonna have a lot of Hindu faith there.
Right.
A lot of Christian faith, British colony wise, and things like their former British colony. So you really see a mixture in different areas, and then. But then you go off into other, you get into sexual orientation differences. You get into do lodges allow homosexual members? And I know there is one state that has it written in the rules that you cannot be a homosexual. They're just waiting for the right lawsuit to really get spanked. But most jurisdictions don't have it written down. It's just an unwritten rule that if somebody knows that there's a homosexual coming through, that they are not going to be members. So you really look into it for an organization that is supposed to be, your religious beliefs are kept aside. They 100% pull the predominant local religion into it. So if you're in a predominantly Christian area, if you don't have predominant Christian beliefs, you're not going to fit in.
Gotcha.
And some of that is human nature, but it goes outside of the core values of what the organization is supposed to be.
Okay. So we're kind of coming up close to a close here, and I just have a few more questions before I get you guys off of here. And I like to do this with some of my comic book creators that are on here. Tell me in your words what you would tell somebody if you were trying to get them to watch this show.
For me, this show has everything, and I'm like, I mean everything. So it has the dynamic characters. It's gonna have action, drama, conflict. It's like Sons of Anarchy, Breaking Bad, all kind of put in together.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the wordsmith. I'm waiting to hear Robert's description.
We're pros.
Well, I'd say it's fair. Everybody, everybody who was a fan of the show hated the fact that House of Cards kind of went out without being able to be finished up. Um, I think a lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be similar to the characters there. You've got the public face of this character where they're a good, upstanding person, and then you've got the darker side in private, and you're going to get to see those two dynamics. So, think of a little bit of House of Cards meets the Freemasons, meets the Sopranos. It's there's going to be some darkness there. There's going to be some humor. There's going to be some characters you love. There's going to be some characters you hate. There's going to be characters you love to hate, and there are going to be characters who go from one side of that fence to the other with you over the course of this story.
Okay. Well, and I do know you brought up Sons of Anarchy a minute ago. I think it was Terry who was saying that. And the thing is it's you do have a motorcycle or a motorcycle club character in the show, don't you?
Yeah, so one of it's the Widow Sons Masonic Writing Association. They're an association, not a club. That's a real. So we have a group of wannabe bikers that maybe they're members of that organization, but they really want it to be a 1%er. They want it to be a 1%er wrapped up with a square and compass, under the guise of, hey, we're doing good things here, but we're doing it in a really bad, shitty way.
Yeah.
How would you sell it, Matthew?
I say if you want to know the truth, if you've heard all the conspiracy theories, you've heard the lies through the years. If you want to know the truth, watch it, because you're going to find it. Whether it's dark or whether it's good, you're going to find it.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I would if for me, if I was going to just sum it up in a few brief words, is it's the world where Masonic conspiracy and reality meet, and sometimes reality is worse than the conspiracy. That's kind of the tagline, and again, you do get to see the characters, you get to see the actual ritual, you get to see a lot of things, and just so I can throw it up there, the one sheet that we had made, our poster, which I need to get your address. I want to send you one so you can have a cool poster. Okay. But the poster, I mean, it's there's about 7 major components hidden inside there that after you watch the show, you can go back, because this thing's going to have Easter eggs galore in it. And a lot of the Easter eggs, you're going to have to ask your Masonic friends what they are. Because they're going to catch it. They're going to have those, oh, look at that moment, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're conspiracy theory and reality meet. I mean, it's ugly sometimes.
Yeah, man, I love it. I can't wait to watch this. I'm very excited about the whole thing. Ever since I found it, it's piqued my interest, and I'm really glad that I've been able to get you guys on here to talk about this. If people want to follow the project, how can they do that?
It's on all social media. We have it Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. I do have a Discord, but I'll be honest, I'm too old to really know how to use it properly. Our social media manager doesn't like it. We do have YouTube, so the recording of this is going to go up on YouTube.
Okay.
But yeah, you can follow it if you search for Broken Ashler series on most of those platforms. It should. And if in your description, if you would include our link tree, we would appreciate it. But
absolutely, yeah,
we have two to three posts a week. This week actually today, we had a new video come out today. We gave away a poster. So
Yes.
one of the guys, it was really a tongue-in-cheek moment. It was at my wedding reception, and one of the guys that won was actually there. So we pretended to bum rush him and get him up there and drag him into the world, in a menacing way. It's just a little, 45-second thing, but that
Yeah.
is a ton of fun.
That look on his face too.
Oh yeah.
You could tell he had no idea what was going on at first in that video.
But I'll tell you what I would like to do if you were willing is I would love to have a follow. We might not be able to do the same format that we've got now, but once the promo video is ready, I would love to send the promo to you and have you refrain from watching it on social media whenever it's released.
Okay.
I would love to see your reaction while you're watching it.
Okay. Yeah.
Just to see what your initial take on it is. Again, this is a promo video filmed in 8K. A lot of artistic license was taken in the promotional, and it's the whole design of it is to make you go, "What in the hell did I just watch?"
Well, I want to watch it now. Well, fellas, I've really enjoyed this. Like I said, this has been great. I appreciate you all coming on here, taking time out of your busy schedule to be on the show and talk with me. Is there anything else that maybe you guys want to bring up before I get you off here?
I just want everybody just to follow us and have fun. Comment on the social media. I'm not trying to get links. I'm trying to create a little community of people that want to be a Broken Ashler too.
Yeah.
See if maybe you think you're a bad person. Maybe you're not happy with decisions you've made. Follow along with Broken Ashler. You might not feel so bad about yourself.
All right. Well, I will talk to y'all a few more minutes after I end this recording, but we're going to say bye here for now. Thank you so much for being on the show again, and I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
All right. I ended the recording on my side. I don't know if you wanted to continue recording or not. Were you guys good with everything that was on there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. Like I said, I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to it. I've been bragging to people about